Welcome to UAPB Currents. I'm your host, Shelly Roby Ingram, and today joining us we have Dr. Mary E. Benjamin, who is the Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Welcome to UAPB Currents.
Thank you for inviting me.
And Dr. Benjamin is here today to talk with us about the Dr. Mary Benjamin Conference for Educational Access.
Correct.
Did I say the title right? Because I know you guys kind of tweaked it a little bit from Educational Access Conference to, or did I get it backwards?
No, you have it correct. A few years back, Chancellor Davis and the committee decided to name this conference the Mary E. Benjamin Educational Access Conference.
Okay, and honor you. And now tell us a little bit about what the Educational Access Conference is and what its purpose is.
Okay. Many years ago, actually back in the early 90s, when I first came to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, we were very much concerned about the rate of remediation and wondered what could we do to make a difference. And so with the Deans and Directors Council, we decided to have an annual conference to bring together people from the public school system, community leaders, political leaders, and also our college leaders to just come together and focus on particular issues in regard to education. So, and over the years we focused on many issues like different school environments, like homeschooling, public schools, private schools. We've dealt with cooperative experiences between business industry and the educational system. Most recently, last year, we focused on problem-based learning, believing that maybe more hands-on experiences might be helpful to our students in grasping the educational knowledge that was needed. And so that brings us to this year, and we will talk about that more in detail a little later. But now we are focusing on models that work in Arkansas, believing that our major audience is an Arkansas audience. And there are some people out there that really have some very workable strategies to help students with mastery of the subject content. And we are showcasing that for the people of Arkansas and for others.
Okay. Now, how does this conference service the students here at the university and our community as well?
Okay, I'd like to start with just giving you an example. As you know, we have a very well-organized School of Education. And each year we send our students out to do what we call practice teaching. Well, for the last several years, we have invited that group of students to come and present a workshop on whatever our topic is. So like last year, they did research, they wrote papers, and then they presented on problem-based learning. This year, they will be presenting on the use of technology in educational instruction. So that's a specific answer of how our program here helps the on-campus student while at the same time helping people that are out there in the profession, in the school system on a daily basis, delivering educational content.
Right. Now, who is the audience? Who is the Educational Access Conference for? Who gets invited to the Educational Access Conference or would be interested in?
The public is invited to our conference. Looking back over the last 20 years for the conference, we have had parents, political leaders, community leaders, people from university settings, and sometimes people from funding agencies who will come in and be a part of the conference. But I'm really very serious when I say it's open to the public, because our belief is that the more the public is concerned, as well as informed about what is going on in education, what is actually making a difference in terms of the mastery by those students, then I think that as a whole, as a society, we will advance in terms of educational mastery by our school young people.
Right. Now, to get started, let's go ahead and start talking about this year's Educational Access Conference. What is this year's theme, and when is it going to be taking place?
Okay, well, first of all, let's start with the wins, and then we'll go to the
Okay.
whats. The conference will take place April 18th and 19th, and we are really hopeful that a lot of caring people will come out and participate in this event. Our theme this year is Models that Work in Arkansas. Here we are focusing on educational models that have really impacted positive student performance. So what we're doing, we're bringing in some teachers who have actually excelled in areas like mathematics, in teaching literacy, and then we are also having workshops on topics that can also impact what goes on in the classroom. For an example, we're having a workshop on mentoring, believing that mentoring is an important facet of the educational process by helping students to feel that somebody cares, somebody is there to listen to them. It might not be on the subject matter, it might be on something that's going on in their personal lives. We also, because of all of the concerns and all of the things that we have seen in national media on safety in the educational environment. So we have a special workshop where we are bringing in an expert to talk about safety in the educational environment. So those are some of the types of concepts that we are putting across in the conference this year.
Okay, models that work in Arkansas. Now, how can those in the public, in the community, who we want to take a part in the Educational Access Conference, get registered for the conference?
Okay, well, first of all, if the person has access to a computer, you could just go online to UAPB, www.uapb.edu, and right there on the home page, it's going to pop up the Educational Access Conference. But in case you don't want to get up, move to your computer to do that, then if you're close to the telephone, you could just dial 575-8477, and Miss Allison Jackson will answer that phone and be happy to get you registered.
Okay.
So those are two ways.
Okay. All right. Now we're going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, then we're going to talk in detail and tell you guys what you can expect from this year's Educational Access Conference, what those workshops will entail, and who will be here. So stay right there. We'll be right back on UAPB Currents.
That's low.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
Welcome back to UAPB Currents, and again we're joined by Dr. Mary E. Benjamin, who is the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and she's going to tell us about the activities that are going to take place at this year's Mary E. Benjamin Educational Access Conference, and we're going to start with what you guys refer to as Day 1, which will be April the 18th.
Right. Okay, thank you. April 18th, the first day of our conference, is designed at the very beginning to give the audience an overview of what is going on in the state of Arkansas in terms of higher education and pre-K through 12. So we always invite in a representative from the Arkansas Department of Higher Education. We're quite pleased this year to have the interim director for the Arkansas Department of Higher Education, the Honorable Shan Broadway, who, as I said, is the interim director. He always sets the tone for our conference by bringing us up to date on priorities in that division and any particular need that is being worked on at this particular point in time. For an example, Higher Ed is working with the Department of Ed on the new course standards for the for the state of Arkansas and keeping us consistent with what is going on in terms of national standards.
Right.
We always also invite someone from the Arkansas Department of Education, and in many years, Dr. Tom Kimbrell has been our speaker. But this year, he's unable to come. However, he has designated a person who is very well qualified to speak on behalf of the Arkansas Department of Education, Dr. Matt McClure, who is from Cross County, Arkansas. Mm-hmm. His district is all problem-based in terms of the instructional approach. Okay. He will not only talk about what is going on in his district, Cross County, but he will speak to what are the priorities for the Arkansas Department of Education at this point in time. So they will set the tone for the conference. Also, Chancellor Johnson will be there to welcome people on behalf of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, but also to underscore the partnerships that we have with the public school system, the private school system, and with business and industry. So that gets us started. Okay. Then, immediately after the opening session, we have a workshop by Dr. Jabari, a nationally known consultant who specializes in curricula models for diverse student populations. His trademark is how to address diverse students and use different techniques to get them to become more engaged in the educational process. He will talk first. He will deliver his message on what works. But we have challenged him to take that one step further and demonstrate in a workshop how you use the concepts that he will have just presented to the audience. So we are excited to have him here. We've looked over some of his materials, and I tell you, he has a whole lot of handouts and exercises that people will be carried through in the course of that workshop. So that gets us up to near the lunch hour. We take advantage of every moment that we have to continuously provide current and useful information. So at our luncheon session, right after lunch, we have a panel of 3 people to present 3 different modalities for education. We are looking at a charter public school, a public school in the traditional sense, and we are looking at homeschooling. We have, for an example, Mr. Jerry Cox, who will speak on behalf of homeschooling. And then we have the principal for the KIPP Delta Public School, who will also speak. And we have, again, a representative from the Arkansas Department of Education, Dr. Tracy Tucker, who will talk to us, and she's over curriculum for the state. So she will give us current information on what is happening in terms of the curriculum in our K through 12 schools. So this is the lunch hour. Right after that, at 2:30, we are having a special workshop on safety in the educational environment. This is in response to all of the things we've seen in the media about safety and challenges, especially in the public schools. So we thought it would be very good to bring someone in to guide us through this. Giving us guidance in setting up this workshop was our very own chief, Chief Maxie Thomas. He made contact, and we have Mr. Richard Davis, who's actually from Whitehall, and he worked with the police force there, but right now focuses on prevention and intervention in terms of school safety. So we are, number one, so pleased that he will come, and number two, so pleased that we could provide this type of current information to people who are on the front line in the educational environment. So that brings us to the end of day 1.
Okay. Now, what are some of the things, speaking about the safety component of the conference, that he's going to be talking about. What are some of the tips that?
Okay, some of the things that really caught my eye. He's going to talk about how you can sort of identify students that might be trouble or might be concealing a weapon.
Right.
He's going to talk about common places where students tend to hide their weapons, and then preventive techniques that people in the educational environment may employ that would give them a better chance of having a higher degree of safety.
Right. And I think that that's great that you guys are offering a safety aspect to the Educational Access Conference, because if our students, our teachers, our parents don't feel safe with sending their students to school, then their learning is going to be, you know, affected.
I totally agree. And that earlier we talked about the purpose of this conference. This conference is designed to take a look at, number one, ways that we can help our students to have a better chance of being successful, being able to finish high school and either go into college or a vocational school without being challenged by remediation.
Right.
That is one thing. The second thing, we want to look at the content of the curriculum, but we also know that factors such as safety, as you already said, can really impact what goes on in that classroom. You might have the best designed curriculum, but if you are challenged by issues such as feeling unsafe, then that can certainly impact the student's ability to grasp the information as well as the faculty members' ability to deliver what needs to be delivered in that classroom. So our conference continuously takes a look at current issues that are taking place in our school systems, but at the same time, we like to present information that is actually data-driven, so that it will tend to be reliable information. Okay?
Okay, we're going to go to commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about day 2 of the Educational Access Conference.
Okay, we'll be ready.
Okay, we'll be right back on UAPB Currents.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks. Visit us at stoptextstoprex.org.
Welcome back to UAPB Currents, and again we're joined by Dr. Mary E. Benjamin, who is the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and we're talking about the Mary E. Benjamin Educational Access Conference. And if you're just joining us, we've already gone through all of the events and activities for day 1, which is going to take place on April 18th. And now we're ready to talk about the events of day 2, April 19th.
April 19th, which is the last day of our conference, and it is also very full of what we consider to be essential information. It is a day of workshops, and it actually terminates with what we call the product speak. If we've talked about all of these concepts that we feel are working, then we believe that on the end we should be able to show some products from those various models that are being implemented. So we start the day with workshops, and a person will have a choice of about 4 workshops that we will offer. We have a workshop dealing with literacy, and we have 2 different presenters for literacy. We have one person coming in from the West Coast to talk about literacy. But at the local level, remember, we're talking about what works in Arkansas. So at the local level, we have a team coming in from the Monticello School District. They are working with the Southern Regional Education Board, and they have built collaboratives. So the literacy collaborative will come in and show us what they are doing using that particular model of teaching literacy. And it's team teaching, it's critical thinking, it's reading challenging texts, as well as writing. So this is a very hands-on workshop, and it is something that the Monticello School District feels very good about it.
Right.
And we've always focused on reading, writing, and mathematics in our conferences, and then we add around that based on other issues that are impacting education. So we have a team of teachers coming in from Dumas that have been identified to us as being very successful in helping their students to do well in mathematics.
Okay.
Because we are sitting here in the Arkansas Delta, we think it's awfully important for us to showcase models that work here in the Arkansas Delta. So we're excited that they're going to come in and let us know what they are doing in mathematics. At the same time, it's going to be difficult to choose your workshop, but you get to rotate 3 times.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Our student teachers, and we have student teachers from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, as well as from the University of Arkansas, Monticello. They are putting on a workshop dealing with the use of technology in instruction.
Okay.
So we get to hear from students that have obtained their education here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, as well as from students who've obtained their education at the University of Arkansas at Monticello. So after they present, they have also brought in 2 experts in education to respond to what the student teachers are saying.
Okay.
This is always an interesting workshop. It's so refreshing because we get to look into the faces of the future teachers.
Right.
And I'll tell you a little secret. A lot of the superintendents that come to our conference take advantage of that opportunity to do a little recruiting. They recruit, and we like that because our workshop is to be helpful in the area of education.
Right.
So if we can partner with the school districts and they can do a little recruiting while here, we encourage them to go right ahead and do so.
Right.
But it's an exciting workshop to attend. I also have a workshop on mentoring. This is important because we are aware of the fact that for the students to learn, to grasp, to develop mastery of subject content, that at times this can be impeded by factors that might be going on in their personal life.
Right.
And it might be something that they don't feel so comfortable talking about in class. And so if we get this mentoring going on where the community comes in, such as the Ivy Academy, Miss Maddie Collins, who works wonderfully well with young people, keeps them encouraged about going to college, takes them on college tours, takes them to Washington. She's going to come in and talk about how she and her colleagues are able to do that, and we are hopeful that that will be inspirational to others to go back into their community and set up the same kind of concept. So these are some of the kinds of workshops that we are offering in the morning of day 2.
Okay.
And by the time we get to the lunch hour, after we rotate those workshops, when we get to the lunch hour, it is then time for what I choose to call show and tell, but you know, we use a different name than that for the workshop. Actually, we entitled that workshop, Models That Work, the Graduates Speak. In other words, we want to hear from some students who have been exposed to those various models, like the homeschool model, the charter public model, the public model, the STEM Academy, the UAPB Lion program. We want them to just share their story with the audience to help people in the audience, number one, become more familiar with what took place in those programs, but also to get ideas on what will work for those students. So that's it. We start with what are the problems, what's going on in the state of Arkansas,
Right.
and then we take a look at how can we be helpful, what are some models that are working, and then we come to closure with, we told you they would work, and now we're going to present you some evidence
right.
of the outcome of these particular models. That's our 20th Educational Access Conference,
Okay.
being sponsored by the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. And this is a special appeal to the audience to write it on your calendar. April 18th and 19th, I'm going to be at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, participating in the 20th Educational Access Conference.
Okay. And again, if you would like to be involved in the Educational Access Conference, then you can go to our webpage, www.uapb.edu, and click on the banner that will appear on the home page, and it will allow you to register, or you can call the number that's going across the ticker at the bottom of the screen and contact Dr. Benjamin's office, and they will help you get you registered. If you're not up on your technology yet, then perhaps the workshop that you'll need to pick when you come will be technology in the classroom.
All right, very good.
Thank you so much, Dr. Benjamin, for coming, and we hope that you have a wonderful turnout for this year's, for the 20th Educational Access Conference, and congratulations on that milestone.
Thank you so much for having us.
Okay, and we will see you next time on UAPB Current.